Now we have breaking news on the situation.
This is Breaking Sports News.
Powered by Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
On 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Reading from Twitter X, Taylor Snow, covering the Celtics for NBA.com. Jayson Tatum underwent successful surgery today to repair a ruptured right Achilles tendon. No timetable is currently available for his return, but he is expected to make a full recovery.
Okay, so what is the timeline, Mazz?
I think he's looking at somewhere in the range of 9 months at a minimum, somewhere in that area. So, like, again, he's a 27-year-old professional athlete, so it should be shorter than the average human. So, but I think it's somewhere in that range. Like, I was having this discussion with someone earlier today outside, before the show started, and I would say that my guess is that puts him somewhere in February. So sometime around the trading deadline or, March 1. But then you run into a whole other list of questions. Like, I don't know how much time Durant missed.
So I'm. If you talk for a second, I'm looking it up right this second.
Okay, so my recollection is Durant missed close to the whole season.
Yeah,
So-
70-plus games, I think.
Yeah.
So it was Game 5 of the finals.
Okay.
So
Much later.
mid-June,
Month later.
and then he did take the next year off. So that was mid-June of the 2019. He missed 2019, 2020, and then came back for 2020, 2021.
Okay.
And it was not until December. So June of 19
So it was more than a year.
to basically Christmas.
18 months.
Yeah. So it was
That
a year and
feels
a
a
half.
little long.
So he was older, at the time than Tatum is. 18 months, is that right?
Yeah, that feels long. I don't think it's, again, you're talking about a major injury. The ACL thing is quicker.
COVID was in there too. I don't know if that was a consideration for him, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so look, I would say somewhere in the 9 months to a year window. It's somewhere in that area. But it's entirely possible he will miss all of next season. I don't think that is, outrageous. So the question then becomes, when are you okay bringing him back? Like, do you bring him back and try to get him some games at the end of next season so that when you show up for the next year, you've already got that out of the way and he has, consider it a rehab, if you will? Or does the threat of playoff games or the idea of high-intensity playoff games right out of the gate alarm you and you don't want to do that and put too much strain on? So I have no idea, but it's going to be a while. I mean, you're not going to see him till the late next year at the earliest.
Okay. So it opens up a whole raft of things. And, it's interesting to talk about how they handled the year absence. What does this mean going forward? What does it mean for the team going forward? How do you manage next year? And what does the team look like when he comes back? You think they're cashed for this year? Like all that? I don't think they're done in this series. They're still favored tomorrow night to beat the Knicks. You send it back to New York for a Game 6, put the pressure on them. I mean, I'm still watching these games and seeing how this plays out. I think it still has a chance to get interesting. And Jaylen Brown stepping into the spotlight as the guy. He wants to be the guy, right? Well, here you go. Let's see it. Let's see you now as the guy, not just, like in that Magic series where you had a game against a really beatable opponent and everyone knew Tatum was coming back. No, this is different. Now, it's your show. Let's see it. That's interesting. I'm also interested in how you've lost 3 of 4 to begin with, because you did not lose that game because of the Tatum injury. Tatum went down, and Anunoby went in for the dunk that you was a 9-point deficit with 2:50 left, and the needle was definitely pointing away from you at that point in the game. The Knicks had taken your best shot and had sort of taken control of the game. So you were probably losing that game last night either way. So you've lost 3 of 4 to the Knicks straight up without any injury considerations. Why? Why are you losing to an inferior opponent? I'm still interested in that. And I think as we talk about the future going forward and what they're going to do with the roster and how they're going to handle the injury, something you have to put on the list and something they have to consider, in my opinion, is how they play the game. Their play style is killing them. The adherence of the three-pointer, them turning themselves over to the analytics and the numbers, has hurt them. It's hurt them greatly in this series. And their play style, I think, is the number one reason why they're losing this series. They're not losing this series because they're worse than the Knicks, or the Knicks are now somehow a better team. Of course they're not. They're losing the series because of their play style. And you can change the players, But if the same approach applies from the nerds on down, what's really going to change? Because you have the best roster in the NBA, and it's not good enough right now. So whatever the roster is, if you're still going to have them play the same way, you're still in trouble. They got to look at how they play. They got to look at the fact that they've turned themselves into the Mike D'Antoni, James Harden, Houston Rockets, which was a losing formula then, and it's a losing formula for you now. And if they don't address that, it doesn't matter what they do with the players. It's a style of basketball that's not going to win at a high level. And they need to figure that out too. And that's something that I want to talk about as well. So there's the breaking news. Tatum did undergo surgery today to repair an Achilles tendon. The fallout continues with your calls right after these words.